Everybody says they want to, like, I think it's like 75 or 80% of people say they want to age in place.
Oh, for sure.
I get it. And believe me, and at the same time, we need to be practical and I think frugal, but I think practical more than anything. Pull the money out, fix your house. But what I run into is a lot of people who should be doing these things are having these conversations. Two things are happening. One is their pride is saying that they don't need it, which is a recipe for disaster.
Sure.
Right? Because they will likely fall. But even worse yet, when their children are not supportive of them spending the money because they're worried about their stupid inheritance.
There's part of that.
It just drives me crazy. Take care of your mom or dad. Welcome to the Living Well and Aging Smart podcast, the podcast for seniors who are currently, maybe with their families, navigating the next transition in their life and hopefully doing so with a little bit of purpose, a little bit of wisdom, and a little bit of humor, maybe a lot of humor, because I think we get to where we're at today. You need to be a little bit more humorous. Here's the cool part, is every week we're going to discuss things that matter to those of us who are seniors. My name is Mitchell Schwartz, broker salesman's license, 19845, Keller Williams The Marketplace. I am a certified senior advisor, a certified aging in place specialist, and a senior real estate specialist. And what that means to you is I get to help you discuss things that will improve your well-being. Things that might include housing, might include health, the scams to security and safety, and staying connected with one another, right? Here's the thing, it's not about just listings and sales. It's not about that. Every week, we discuss things that matter most to our clients, the senior community out there, things that will help you make the decisions about your life's transitions, about your aging in place, if that's what you want to do, and protecting your legacy. And guess what? From time to time, we'll talk real estate stuff too. Why? Because you need to have the best information to make the decisions for you as they come up, right? I'm also going to have people on here from week to week that are going to help you through stories and insights. And these are professionals who work in our community who very much care about the seniors they work with. So as we do that, thanks for being here. Let's get started on our episode today. I'm really looking forward to sharing this with you. Really, right now, what I'd like you to do is I always like to know where people came from. Now, you and I already had this conversation,
Sure.
But I think it's relevant for the people to hear that here. Here's why, because you have roots here.
Oh, yeah.
That are different than, first off, most contractors.
Sure.
And secondly, because of your roots, you do what you do and you do it well. And I'd like people to hear that. So just tell them who you are and the how and the why.
Yeah. We're going now.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've been going for the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Good enough. So yeah, I mean, we moved here in 1966. I was 6 years old. My dad had been home builder. He'd acquired 49% of a company in the Salt Lake Valley area.
Right.
And their specialty was first-time home buyers. So that was the homes that they built. And the owners of the company got into horses, and they had an incredible horse, quarter horse that just did something amazing at that time, which was became a champion in all the grading categories of quarter horse. Super unusual. They opened up a horse farm, and they started spending their time on horses, not building.
Okay.
So they had a construction company, a development company, a real estate company, and an insurance company.
Oh, wow.
So all of these developments that they acquired the land, they developed it, they built the houses, they sold the houses, then they insured the houses. Well, when they got into the horse thing, my dad kept saying, hey, we made our money building. And they were just ignoring it. They sold the horse, a quarter horse no less, for just about $275,000 back in '63, which was a boatload of money.
Yes.
Thinking that one of his offspring would do what he did, which That was like getting rid of the goose that laid the golden egg, hoping
Right.
one of the goslings would produce golden eggs.
Right.
So he worked for 2 years there, not taking a salary, was literally broke, and said, "We got to leave."
Yeah.
And so everybody was looking at him saying, "You should declare bankruptcy." He was like, "I can't declare bankruptcy." He went to his creditors, said, "Hey, I'm going to move to Las Vegas, but I will pay you." He was highly trusted in the whole state of Utah. We moved down here, a little tiny apartment, Stewart and Eastern.
Oh boy.
Long before the 95 or anything, there was a riding stable on Eastern Avenue, just north of Stewart back then.
Oh, I knew exactly what you were talking about. That.
I was 6 years old. My dad went to mortgage companies. There was a severe recession here at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Massive amount of abandoned homes. People literally got up and walked out of their house. And my dad went to the mortgage company and said, "Hey, I'll rehab the houses and I'll help you sell them. You just got to give me the money to rehab it." And so him and my mom would rehab a house during the day. At night, my dad would knock on apartment doors and say, "Hey, let me show you how to own a home." Because everybody's buying a home in their life. All we're talking about now is whether you continue to buy this building for your landlord or you want to buy a home for yourself.
It's funny how that has not changed in the least.
No, it hasn't. Everybody's buying a home. You just decide whether it's for yourself or somebody else.
Yeah.
And so that was how he started the company. And that was 66. He had all his creditors paid, which was like 30 grand, I think, back then, which was
a boatload of money.
Of money. And he bought a house on, at the time, it was the Stardust Country Club. Bought the house in late 66. Took him about 6 months. He paid off 30 grand. Bought the house at the Stardust Golf Course. Then it became the Sahara.
Mm-hmm.
Then now I think it's the Las Vegas Invitational.
Yeah, it was the Hilton for a while too before they.
That might have been. It was Eastern and DI.
Or something. Yeah,
Eastern DI. That's where I grew up.
Those houses are all still real cool.
Yeah, well, it's a pocket. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a pocket. They changed the zip code from 109 to 169. There's some. That was a nice area back in the day when I grew up. So he started the company in 67. It was February. He got his license in the mail, and my mom and dad, my brother went and saw Sammy Davis Jr. at the Sands to celebrate. And I was the son of a contractor. So I was 14 years old. First summer, he said, "Hey, you're going to work." And I was like, I mean, this was an affluent neighborhood.
Right.
Okay. Howard Hughes guy, Robert Mayhew lived in our neighborhood. I mean, super high profile people. The owners of Al Phillips, Von Tobel's, which was a hardware store.
Yeah.
I mean, high powered, a partner with Lionel Sawyer and Collins, which was a very big law firm.
Right.
I mean, really.
I mean, Grant Sawyer went on to do government.
Yeah, he was a governor, right? But I mean, when you're 7 or 8, you got a Schwinn, I got a Schwinn. Right? You don't recognize the socioeconomic differences until you get older. So I'm 14, and he says, "You're going to go to work this summer." And I was like, "Why?" And he said, "You're born into a middle-class working family, son. Yeah. Work ethic is something you learn,
and it's something we value."
Yeah. Well, I was on a demo crew at 14.
Good.
We were doing fire restoration. He had gotten into insurance restoration in early 70s. There's only 4 or 5 contractors in the city that did it at the time. And so I'm working for minimum wage, riding around in a dump truck with a guy old enough to drive, and we're demoing.
It was like $1.80 back then.
It was $2. $2 an hour is what that wage was. And when I got my first paycheck and it wasn't $80, I was like, "What is this?" And my dad was like, "Welcome to Texas, son."
Yeah.
So I mean, I worked for my dad doing that. Second year, my buddy, his dad was a high-powered executive of the Flamingo. He says, "Hey, come be a pool boy with me." So I was like, "Cool." He made in a day what I made in a week, right? So I went to the Flamingo, and when the guy found out that I knew how to clean pools, I was not with the other pool boys. I was cleaning all these individual pools in the main pool. I wasn't making any tips. So 2 weeks, I was like, I'm going back to work for my dad. And
if I'm not going to make tips, I might as well.
Yeah. So 16th summer, I did a stint as a busboy downtown. And then after that, I was working for my dad. In fact, people are like, how long have you been in the construction industry? It's like, well, 1978 as a senior at Valley High School, my dad found out I was getting out of school at 10:30. And he said, you'll be at the office at 11. So I started working full time for him every day. 1978, worked for him while I was at UNLV. And then I came out of the field doing, it was kind of weird because I worked as a laborer, and then I worked with carpenters, and then one summer I worked with our plumbing electrical guy, and we built 65 homes in Alamo, Nevada in 77, 78, 79 area. I worked with the concrete guys. I worked with all these different phases of construction. And I was a laborer. I was probably 19. I consider myself a laborer, but I had carpentry skills and drywall skills and whatever.
Sure. And you were learning from all these trades.
Of course. And they were old school. These guys were old school. I mean, there was just no messing around. If you didn't do something right, they were all over you. But I went out. We used to do HUD work for the city of Las Vegas. And I went out to this job where my dad said, go out and do the final cleaning. So I went out there, and there was so much urine around the base of this toilet that when I got down to the base to clean it, the bolts just popped off. And I was like, ugh, he's going to be upset that we got to send the plumber back and blah, 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 blah. And it just so happened that right before that job, I did the demo on a really skeegy fast food joint down on the low end of Fremont. I went to move this popcorn machine, and the popcorn, it was all black from soot, but the popcorn started moving around, and I was like, what is that? And I scraped it back. It was like 2 inches thick in roaches. It was just super nasty.
So gross.
Prior to that, I had done, we were doing all the A.G. Spanos fires back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
We did virtually all of those for George. He was a Greek guy. He was Spanos construction manager.
Yeah. They had all those apartments in town.
Yeah, and so my dad developed a relationship with them. So we did all those fires. Well, that July, I had been on my back in a mansard roof with about 24 inches of space, going back underneath a hot mop roof, scraping the soot off of all the salvageable truss members. So I'm like, why do I get the nastiest jobs?
Because you're the kid.
You're right. Right. So I mean, after the bolt cleaning the toilet thing, I like hung out until everybody left the shop. And he's aware. I mean, I'm waiting because I want to talk to him in private. And so he says, something on your mind? I said, yeah, I did this and I did this. And I cleaned like 16 refrigerators that had been in a apartment fire with the food in them for 2 months. You open it up. The guys that were sent to do it were puking, and there's maggots. I mean, it was nasty work. And I just pulled a bandana to lock off my nose so I couldn't smell. So I said, I did this, I did this, I did this. And now I go out to clean this toilet. There's so much urine that the bolts come off. I'm like, why do I get the nastiest jobs? And he was like, well, first off, son, it builds character.
Yep.
You'll never be too good to do whatever it takes to provide for your family.
Or show that the people who work with you that you're not afraid to do the work.
So he says, second off, if you ever come to this business, no one will ever be able to stand on the other side of your desk and say, you don't know what it's like, because you'll have done it all.
You've done it all.
He said,
it's
third,
kind of like the wax on, wax off thing.
Exactly.
Kid, right?
Exactly. He says, third, when I send you out to clean the toilet, I know when you're done, it'll look like it was just unboxed. And what do you say to that, Mitch?
You can't.
You know? I'm like, love you, Dad. See you in the morning.
Thank you. Which toilet am I cleaning tomorrow?
Yeah. And so, so I started working for him, every day in high school. Then at UNLV, when I left UNLV, I'm working for my dad full time, and I'm making a career choice. And I'm still working in the field. When I got married at 21, right after I turned 22, I came into the office, and I'll never forget that. He said to me, "You do know the difference between a job and a career?" And I was like, what? And he goes, at least 20 hours a week. And I laughed because I thought he was joking, but he was right. I mean, obviously he was right. Oddly, I had already started working longer hours because at 19, we started with a 15-minute meeting in the morning with all the crews, and then everybody was out the door at 7 o'clock, and we had a half-hour lunch at 3:30. The, the job sites were a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking around one day thinking, man, my dad owns this company. And I'm like every other guy here. And I became kind of aware of all the stuff my parents have done for me. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And so I thought the least I could do would be to work a little bit longer than anybody else.
Right.
And I was hourly at the time, but I just started working longer. And my uncle was our superintendent. He's like, clean up time. I was like, no, I'm going to stay and see if I can get this done. He's like, oh, you won't get that done. Well, now it's like,
Challenge accepted, right?
I'm not leaving.
Hold my beer.
Yep, I'm not leaving until it's done. And so the point was, I'm working longer hours, but I'm turning in 8-hour time cards because it's basically a gratitude thing.
Sure,
parents,
sure. I wish more kids thought like that.
Well, it just was, for whatever reason, I just came to that realization. So when I went into the office, of course, I'm salaried and I'm working 50 plus hours.
Right.
And not making a lot of money. Not making a lot of money. I remember my dad said to me, you never have to ask for a raise. Make yourself so valuable to me that I can't imagine operating without you, and you'll get a raise.
Well, imagine if every person who worked for an employer thought like that.
Well, I get it. I get it. I'm in the office. It was like, just a heads up, we do our own typing. I started laughing, and he goes, what are you laughing at? I said, are you serious? He goes, well, you took typing. I said, Dad, I took it in 8th grade. He says, it's just like riding a bike. It'll all come back to you. And he was right. He was right. Then he says to me one day, hey, I need you to draw some plans for me. Right? He's got a drafting board. I still draft on that board. It's a 50s drafting board with like this old Venco arm, but that's what I use. He says, yeah, I'm serious. You took drafting. I said, Dad, we drew stop signs and bolts. And he's like, see all those plans up there? I said, yeah. He says, pull it down and look what they did. Just do that. And I was like, really? And that's what I did. And I'm drawing one day and I'm thinking to myself, my brothers are like 9 and 10 years older than me. Why didn't he bring them into the company? He would have had an 8 or 9 year head start on someone else to take the reins. And so I'm drawing and he's sitting at his desk. And so I ask him, and he looked at me and he goes,
yeah,
you get it.
Yeah.
And probably working longer hours, not turning in the time, just stuff like that. He was probably like, you get it. You understand what it will be. And so flash forward like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 22. I always describe it as being the second guy in command, super comfortable. Because if anything was sticky, I'd be like, hey, I'll get with my dad on that and get back to you.
Yeah.
And he was time tested.
Sure.
And so 3 years later, he walks in my office. He says, hey, I've been diagnosed with lung cancer. Here's the keys to my safety deposit box. Here is my life insurance policies. I'm being operated in the morning. If anything happens, call Norm, our insurance guy, blah, 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 blah. And I had to leave the office. I was in just shock. I kept thinking, oh my God, I should have stayed in school and got my degree. I should have stayed in school and got my degree, And as it turned out, he was terminal. Yeah, they gave him 6 months to a year to live. And I was wigging out. I had 2 tiny girls at the time. I was no more ready to run the business than fly to the moon. But I went on a crash course. I'm like, I need to know everything.
Right, I bet. Especially since this has turned into your livelihood and now you're going to be taking over and you're responsible for all those other livelihoods.
Yeah. I'm responsible for my mom. I'm responsible for my mom and dad while he's sick. I'm responsible for my brother and his family, my other brother, his family, my sister-in-law, my uncle. I got a family that's all relying on me,
right.
Me and my kids and wife. And so, as it turned out, he wound up living 5.5 years.
Wow.
So I got a first run. He'd gone without me. My parents spread, and I got my first run at running it when he went and got his lung taken out in Long Beach, California. I got my first run at running solo for 6 months or something like that, and then a year later he had a brain tumor, and I got another shot at running it for a few months while he recovered from that, but he never got his ability to walk back. So I'd pick him up in the morning, bring him to work, take him home. And a year later, he wound up with like 7 brain tumors, and that was that. And
Wow.
I took over like 28.
How awful had to be witnessing somebody so strong going through all that.
For sure. Yeah, my dad was a big guy. He was like 6'4",
Yeah.
230, big dude. And the crazy thing was, he became, with the brain tumors, he became 100% incapacitated. Wow. And we were doing insurance work. We did some commercial work and whatever, but didn't know anything about accessibility remodeling. I mean, nothing.
Wow.
And so if my dad had to go to the bathroom, my mom would call the office, the secretary would radio out, whichever brother was closest to the house would run to the house and help my dad go to the bathroom, get him back in bed. He fell with my mom got hurt, he got hurt, fell with caregivers, because he's a big guy.
Right.
And a year after he died, I ran the company for the last year and a half of his life solo, and got to the place where I really couldn't trust what he was saying because he was confused, and I had to start going,
Fortunately, you had all that time ahead, though.
Yeah, for sure. It was a crash course. But a year after he died, I got contacted by a company out of Minneapolis called Accessible Space Planning. And they said, hey, we're doing a group home for head injury victims in Las Vegas. Would you be interested in bidding? We got your name from somebody, so you have a good reputation. I'm like, sure. So they contacted me, asked me if I wanted to bid this accessible remodel for head injury victims. And I said, sure, bid the job, got the job, and we did a roll-in shower, we did an accessible kitchen.
So that was your first experience with
first time
making accessible
and I was
housing.
just like, holy crap. Because all I kept thinking was, my God, if I had known any of this, we could have adapted my mom and dad's house and made it.
And maybe safe. Given him 4 or 5 years later, right?
He wouldn't have survived any longer. He had 7 brain tumors, but it would have been safe. It would have been safer.
Mm-hmm.
You can't eliminate all hazards.
Of course not.
But you can do things that help keep some independence and make it safer, right? So a year after that, we got contacted by the Veterans Administration to do a accessible remodel for a disabled vet through a program that the VA has. And they got our name from Accessible Space Planning. And so that started that. So I flash forward years and years. We marketed when we shifted from insurance restoration. I just got tired of dealing with insurance companies, and I just got tired of dealing with it because we did it for years, 25 years. And I just was like, I'm just tired of trying to they're trying to nickel and dime everything. And I'm trying, because you go out representing the insurance company, you get the call from the insurance company. The minute you sign the contract, though, you now represent that homeowner. And so I'm not looking to cut any corners or anything with the homeowner. I'm trying to give them what I believe they deserve. So I'm doing, a $1.2 million, $1.3 million at 5%. And that's a lot of work for 5%. So I made this decision. I'm just done with that. And we shifted into remodeling. So that kind of coincided with this accessible work that we started doing.
Right.
And we advertised in the yellow pages with every other contractor. Everybody says the same stuff. Not everybody does the same stuff. And
but there's the vernacular that everybody uses the same.
Everybody's radio dispatched. Everybody has professional staff. Everybody has.
Sure. What's the unique selling proposition? There wasn't one.
Everybody in the yellow pages says the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
And you look at the same thing with realtors, with plumbers, with electricians, with car dealers. They're all the same crap.
Everybody's the same stuff. I mean, when I go to people's homes, I will say to them, nobody comes into your house. No sales guy comes into your house and says, "Whoo, hang on, Mitch. Sounds like you really want quality work. Sounds like you want your home to be treated with respect. Sounds like you want good communication." And that is not what we do.
Yeah, sorry, I suck at that stuff.
We specialize in mediocre work. Right? We like to tear your place apart, leave a mess, and disappear, and not return phone calls, emails, whatever.
Yeah, and I hope you like butt cracks because you're getting lots of that too from my workers.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That happens every day.
Right.
And so, the rubber meets the road when you sign a contract and my guys start working, right?
Sure.
And then they see whether or not what I've told them is going to come to fruition. But anyway, long and short was after I left the Yellow Pages, because it was like, and I'm talking 92, I was paying $1,600 a month for like a little quarter, black and yellow, you know what I mean? And I'm tracking my lead to close. And the funny thing was, I noticed in my lead to close, my referral to close ratio was 2-1. My best out of the Yellow Pages was 4-1 in bathroom remodeling. And then it was 7-1 out of the general contracting section.
Wow.
And it was 17-1 in the kitchen remodeling section.
So you realize that space is no place you want to be.
I'm not dumping.
Spending the money, spending the time.
I can't go look at 17 jobs and bid 17 jobs and make any money getting one.
No.
Can't do it. So bounced out of that, and I started saying accessible or handicap remodeling specialist or accessible remodeling. It morphed over time. And then I flashed forward, and Simon Sinek was out with, "What's your why? What's your why?" And my wife was she's into motivational people. So she's like, she sees the Simon Sinek, "What's your why?" thing. And so she's like, "What's your why?" And I'm like, I don't know.
I'll tell you. Why are you asking?
I was the son of a contractor.
Yeah, right.
That's why I do what I do. But the funny thing was, it kept bouncing around in my head. What is my why? Why do I do this? And then it was like, wow, the only thing I'm market for, the only thing is accessible remodeling. And it's because I couldn't help my dad.
Right.
I couldn't help my dad, but I can help other people.
Sure.
And I just did my BNI presentation yesterday, and I switched it up, and I did 3 stories. I did a job for a disabled veteran through the Veterans Administration who had ALS. And let me tell you something. It was brutal watching this guy plan for where he was going to be. Take out these vanity cabinets. I'm going to need a spot here for my wife to stand where she can wheel me up to the vanity so she can brush my teeth and shave me, because she's going to lose all function. Let's put a bidet seat in so that I don't have to have my wife wipe my butt until the very end. And it was just brutal. Super wonderful, nice guy.
I bet.
And we gave him a beautiful job, and he was just a super good guy. The next one was for a client that I currently have that's been a client of mine for 25 years. He's now in his 80s. He was a well-respected attorney in town, and he's got Parkinson's. And now he's falling, and so we did their bathroom because he wasn't able to get over an 8-inch step into a shower. And he didn't have any grab bars, and it was just becoming a major problem. So we redid their whole bathroom. In fact, we're over there today installing custom railings we made for the hallways. And then the third was a job we wrapped up a few months back for a little boy that survived a drowning at a water park when he was 6, and now he's 15.
Wow.
This kid is completely incapacitated. He hears you and he sees you, but he really can't communicate. His parents are incredible people, but hard to get a 15-year-old boy into a 3x3, 34x34-inch shower. Yep. And so we did the modifications there. But it's incredibly rewarding. I mean, incredibly rewarding. And I'll get people that will call me, and I ask a ton of personal questions.
Well, I think you have to.
Well, I need to know where you are, right? I don't want to kill hope. Look, if I've got, I did a job for a kid who was a PA, physician's assistant, got a great job. He's got a beautiful Beamer and took a corner too fast and rolled it over and over and over and came out paraplegic. And that kid is going to have to learn to build his upper body and be able to transfer, and he'll continue to grow. But if you're older,
right,
you're not building upper body strength. You're going to be losing upper body strength.
You're hoping at my age, you're open to just survive and get through the next 10 or 15 if you can.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but the idea being is you don't want to rob people of hope and say, hey, I'm going to plan to do this because I don't think you're going to get better at transferring. I think you're going to get worse at transferring because your shoulders are only going to last for so long.
Right.
Right. And so I just ask questions like how tall, how old, how tall, what are your issues? Are you able to go to the bathroom by yourself? Do you need assistance bathing? I just ask a plethora of questions so I get a snapshot of where they are. Then based on their age or whatever, I can look at what is it going to be down the road. Because I want to provide them with a project that's going to meet their needs, not just today, but in the future.
Oh, that's the whole point of aging in place, right?
100%.
Or just having a better life in place. It's not always aging. Sometimes, like you said, kids are 15 years old. That's quite a bit different. But what is your experience with people being apprehensive about making these modifications?
They're super worried.
Are they worried because of money? Or are they worried because of their pride?
Well, there's two things, right? And I've said this for years, but I really think there's a modicum of truth in this. It didn't used to be problematic to age in America 50 years ago. We valued our seniors.
Right.
We valued them for their life experience, for their wisdom.
Correct.
But the culture has become such that it's just not cool to get old anymore. It's just not cool.
Right.
You need to look young and act young, and it's like we're all getting older.
Yeah, the 50 is the new 30, right? That whole thing.
That whole thing. And the thing is, you can't evade time. You just can't. We are all getting older with every tick of the second, right? So I will get people who it's called counter surfing, where they'll say, I don't have any balance issues, as they take their hand off of the chair and go to the counter and leave the counter and go to the wall.
Yep.
And because they're afraid of falling.
Sure.
Right? Because as you get older, you start to develop balance issues just by nature.
Yep.
And they're afraid of falling. And then what will happen is they'll stop bathing every day because they're scared to death of falling in their bathroom.
Yep.
So the two most common things that people, cost is always an issue because it's just the way we do it is just not cheap. I'm not,
and it shouldn't be. You're talking about your health.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's so one of the questions is this, and that will lead me into the price issue. Will this devalue my home, creating an accessible shower?
I get that same question when people ask.
My answer is, well, if I build something that looks like it belongs in a rehab hospital, yes.
Right.
Okay. But if I build something that looks like it belongs in your home, but provides all the safety of an accessible shower, then I would say no, it will increase the value of your home. Even more importantly, it'll open it up to a segment of the market that has nothing.
Sure.
Because if you have any issues with mobility, go buy a house that's ready to go. Because there ain't one.
Oh, or like in my case, I go to these assisted living, I go to memory care, I go even these communities that say they're for active adults. I think to myself, with just basic things like the shower has a lip on it. I'm sorry, why not all those showers built flat, right? Like entry. Well, why do we have tubs in those things? I don't know why we have them. Why don't we have knobs on the cabinets? Most of my clients have some form of arthritis, right? Why are we not having wide enough doorways so that when a person actually gets into a walker or a wheelchair, they don't have to think about moving. They can actually stay there longer.
I'm bidding a job right now in Sun City Summit. Yeah, no, Sun City Anthem. So Del Webb's big thing was, we are senior friendly. And when I look at them, I'm like, okay, you have 32-inch doors and a couple grab bars in the shower. That's it. It is not senior friendly. Just not.
The toilets are practically on the ground.
It's just not. Because if you have a stroke and you're in a wheelchair, you're not getting in the house.
Right.
You got to step. That's normal, but you're not getting in the house.
Right.
If you have any size at all, you're not getting through a 32-inch door, because when the door is open, you still have the thickness of the door in
That's
that
right. You need
opening,
that kind of.
and the door stops.
Yep.
And so a 32-inch door probably nets you 29, 20, 30 inches in actual space that you can traverse. If your wheelchair is bigger than that, that's a problem.
Well, the average wheelchair is 30, I think, and the challenge is you'd have to be able to go straight in,
100%.
and based on the size of the hallway, to be able to maneuver around doing that, and you should be able to get in the bathroom and effectively be able to, in a walker or a chair, turn around, all of those things. And so I get that part. My thing is in addition to hearing the money part, which I think, listen, you have a house that's worth $600,000, you own it free and clear. Pull a little bit of money out and give yourself a longer time. Everybody says they want to, like, I think it's like 75 or 80% of people say they want to age in places.
Oh, for sure.
I get it. And believe me, and at the same time, we need to be practical and I think frugal, but I think practical more than anything. Pull the money out, fix your house. But what I run into is a lot of people who should be doing these things are having these conversations. Two things are happening. One is their pride is saying that they don't need it, which is a recipe for disaster.
Sure.
Right? Because they will likely fall. But even worse yet, when their children are not supportive of them spending the money because they're worried about their stupid inheritance.
There's part of that.
It just drives me crazy. Take care of your mom or dad.
I have a client, long-time client. I've done a bunch of work for him and his wife. His wife just passed away in July. But when I went to do the first job for them, they had a multi-step home. You went up to the front door, stepped up, you were on a platform at the entry, and then stepped down, and then they had a step down living room. And he was like, this is not good for my wife. And he said, my kids tell me I'm foolish to spend this money. But he's like, I don't care. It's not their money. It's my money. It's
right. It's not their money.
And we wound up changing all of that, bringing their living room to level, creating a ramp that came off the entry going down to the house, all tastefully done. Then we went in on another job and we redid their whole bathroom. They had the big giant garden tub and a little bitty shower. And we created a big, roll-in shower. Still had a door, bench seat, hand shower, stand-up shower. We also put in a bariatric walk-in tub for her. Funny thing was, most of the walk-in tubs don't get used. They usually wind up using the showers. But his thing was, my kids don't think I should do it. And I get it. I mean, at the end of my mom's life, she's like, oh, we should save more money for you. I'm like, you care about the money, Mom.
Yeah, your money's not my money. That's your money.
100% doesn't matter to me. If you wrote your last check the day before you died, that'd be fine.
That's funny. I say something very similar to my mom. I say, Mom, if on your very last day you spend your very last dollar and you have a smile on your face, I will have lived up to my promise as your son.
That's it. And so I think there is that component, right? The other is cost. Because look, if I go in and put in a fiberglass shower pan, it's not going to last 20 years.
No, especially if they're in there in a chair or
happen.
Yeah, and people who are in those situations, they carry their weight different. So
totally. Well, you're taking and transferring all of this weight onto these two small points of wheels, which is going to break down fiberglass over time. But so we do concrete. We do concrete and tile shower pans, and then we use larger format tiles. My goal is to make it look like it belongs in your home, increase the value of the home. So it's more costly, but I'm also looking at every job and saying, okay, if this were my house, how would I want it done? I'd want it done the way I did the shower for my mom. Took care of my mom the last 5.5 years of her life.
Yeah. And I've seen your work. If people looked at it, say they looked at a $1 million home in Sun City End, and they bought it, and it was all, the bathroom and the tub and the shower and everything was all done, and then it was done by originally with the builder when it all came through. Those really nice looking things that you see on the $1 million TV, right?
Sure.
And then they see the work that you do. People would know there would be no difference in their head. They'd have no idea.
It's all
not consciously.
I'm not looking. I don't try to guide anybody in any specific material choice. Right. As a builder, I look at it and say, okay, every material has a purpose and a price point,
Right.
right? Formica is very inexpensive for countertops. There's a ton of colors. Don't carve on it.
Right.
Don't put something hot on it. Be careful with it because it's not going to wear like another material. Then you go to Corian. The Corian claim to fame when it came out was you can refinish it, and they can. They can go in and with sanders make Corian look like it was just installed yesterday.
Right.
Don't put anything hot on it though. And again, probably not good to carve on it because it's softer material. And then you go to tile, and you got a plethora of choices, but you got to deal with the ground. You
Right.
put stuff hot on it, it's probably a good idea to cut on it with a knife, right? Then you go to granite, or you go to marble. Marble, people will ask me, they want to use like the white and gray marble in their bathroom, and I'm like, not really a good idea, right? Here's what I know. White and gray marble has a high iron content in that stone by nature, and even if you seal it, if you don't keep it sealed over time, you'll develop orange spotting.
Rust.
Where it's rusting in the stone.
That's why Red Rock Mountains are Red Rock.
No fixing. Exactly. And so I just try to stay in keeping with the theme of their home and the type of materials they have in their home, right? Sure. So that there's a continuity in their home. And that's just trying to be thoughtful, right? Sure. But, tons of builders go in and they're like looking to punch somebody for upgrading this and upgrading that. That's just not the lane I choose. You know what I mean?
I had a conversation with somebody I sold a next gen house to. And while it was nice to have the apartment as a part of the building, I walked through there and with the rep of the builder, I said, "You say this is a next gen home?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "This is not a next gen home. This is an apartment." "Well, what do you mean?" "Look at that shower. There's no way that somebody can live here until they die with that shower unless they're of impeccable health."
Yes.
It's not practical. Somebody's going to fall. Yeah. And they're likely going to fall because they're going to trip coming in or they're going to trip coming out. You want that on your head? Well, I don't design the houses. I said, I'm telling you this so you go back to your people and say, if we're going to truly sell a next gen, even if you say this is the next gen or if you want to have a teenager living with you, and this is the next gen if you want to have your mom or dad living with you, and give them an option and say, listen, maybe it's going to cost you $10,000 more to get all that stuff done. Get it done.
If you're building it brand new, it's not.
No.
It's not that much more. It's just not.
It's not.
It's not. But we've gone into brand new houses and torn out a brand new bathroom that they just paid for and financed and to do because the builders won't break their.
They won't even do it.
They won't break their production.
They won't even offer to do it. They won't include it. They won't do anything. And I think to myself, this is a shame because it's being represented as one thing, and it really is. Sort of that kind of.
Well, I get it. I mean, look, it wouldn't be any different than if you bought a home and you had 2 en-suites.
Right.
Right. It's just whether you take it to that next step that allows them to age in place because people don't have to be in a wheelchair to need a barrier-free shower. I've done work for clients that have arthritis so bad that lifting their leg up 6 inches is painful. Yep. So when you eliminate that step, it's better than when you use appropriate non-slip tile flooring. That doesn't cost any more than flooring that you buy at Florida Core that hasn't been tested, doesn't have a rating, right? You spend more money for grab bars that look like oversized towel bars as opposed to what you see in a gas station restroom, or in a restaurant restroom or casino bathroom. Those are the same things you see in hospitals or rehabs. But if you step up to a bar that's providing all of the safety of a grab bar, but it looks more, it's a design feature. You're going to spend a little bit more money there, but big deal.
But overall, not so much.
No, it's not a crazy amount.
No, I agree.
I just think that, I have not met an elderly couple yet, aging couple, who says, Jim and I are hoping to live to be old enough to move into assisted care living and give them everything we were hoping to leave our children.
Yeah.
I haven't met them yet.
No.
Most people I've met want to they want to stay at home. My dad stayed at home. I took care of my mom at home. We had to buy a different house and modify a bathroom. When I brought her home, she wasn't bathing every day. She was so afraid of
Yeah.
falling in her bathroom. And when I did that shower for my mom, brother, she broke down crying the first time we showed it to her. She was like, "Oh my God." And my mom bathed every day by herself for 5 years, right? Um, and gave her back uh, being able to take a shower whenever she wanted,
Yeah.
not being afraid, gave her back that sense of independence. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, that is independence because then you're not reliant upon anyone or other things. And so I talk all the time about people reluctance to move because sometimes people should not be living alone. Sometimes people, even with the adaptations, should not be living alone.
I get it.
And I have those conversations, and sometimes I don't like to hear it, but it's true. And so sometimes the independent is not being at home, being responsible for everything. Sometimes the independent is moving in with your kid and letting them be responsible. It's okay. You've earned that right.
It's a tough stage of life, right? I taking care of my mom was kind of wild because I got to see really how we revert,
Yeah.
right? We finished dinner one night. It was cool having dinner with my mom tonight. Right?
Yeah.
It was just wonderful, right?
Yeah, I'm very blessed. My mom lives with me too.
And so she says to me, "Honey, would you tuck me in?" I was like, "Sure, Mom." I take her in, I get her in bed. I turn around, she goes, "You didn't give me a kiss."
Yeah.
So I gave her a kiss. And then she says, "Make sure to leave light on for me." And I walked out and I looked at my wife and I said, "She's my 83-year-old little girl."
Yep.
Right?
She's back to being 5.
One time she says to me, I said, "Mom, time for dinner." And she was on blood thinners. And so we had to watch how she ate very carefully because she was on warfarin, right? Which was just like a nightmare. But I said, "Mom, time for dinner." She's like, "I'm not really hungry, so I'm just going to have Milky Ways for dinner." I said, "Mom, you can't have Milky Ways for dinner." She's like, "Why not? I'm 82." I said, "Well, for the same reason I couldn't have Snickers for dinner when I was 8." "What are you saying? I'm 8?" I said, "No, I'm not saying that, Mom.
But it's the same
You
reasons.
have bowel issues,
Yeah.
right? You have warfarin as a blood thinner. Eating a balanced meal is really important." So the next
Right.
time I take her to the doctor, she can't hear. She won't wear her hearing aids. We're sitting in this tiny room, and the doctor comes in. She says, "My son says I can't have Milky Ways for dinner. Do I have to listen to him?" The doc looks at me and he smiles and he says, "I think you should listen to your son. He's just trying to look out for you." She turns, looks at me, and she goes, "What did he say?" I was like, "He said you should listen to me." It was like a comedy. But
So funny.
yeah, but it was like I remember because it was hard taking care of my mom. And my mom was a wonderful woman, but man, if she didn't feel good and she got in a jag, she could be difficult to deal with. And probably harder for my wife than for me because my wife was home all day long with my mom.
Well, and it's your mom.
Exactly.
Right.
And
I know that's the same with my mom and my wife.
yeah, and,
they have a little friction.
Yeah, and I remember I just was cognizant that, man, this could be harder for her than it is for us.
Yeah.
Because when she left her home, no matter how much we try to make this feel like home, it's not her home.
Yeah, my mom always says your house, your house.
She can't get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and blast the television.
Right.
Or turn on the stereo to, a hard of hearing level.
Right.
And it was hard for her. But it was my mom. There's no way I could put my mom. I can't spend $8,000 a month to put my mom in a nice assisted care living. In fact, funny story. My dad's first employee, I met him when we lived in that apartment on down Stewart and Eastern. I met that guy, and he was my dad's very first employee. He retired working for my dad in 1979, but he would stop by the office consistently. Loved my dad. That guy loved my dad. And in his 90s,
right,
he came by the office, and now he's much older. He's lost his wife. And when I told him what we were doing, He got all teary-eyed, and he was like, "Your dad would be so proud of you." Well, he had a fall. He's independent, driving at 90. He
Oh
had a
my
fall.
gosh.
His daughter came down from Utah, stuck him in assisted care living. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
gone like that.
Yeah.
As soon as he lost that independence, done. And I just couldn't put my mom in there. I couldn't put my mom in.
Yeah. My mom was
You know?
actually, she fractured she broke her hip, each of them, one of them twice. And then ultimately she fractured her pelvis. And I was traveling so much with my coaching and speaking gigs that I said, listen, Mom, you're going to have to move into assisted living at least for the next year, because the doctor says this is a 12 to 18-month healing process. Well, she was good to go in 6 weeks. She healed quickly.
Wow.
And then she decided that she didn't want to be at the assisted living, which was a nice place, because she just didn't like the people there. So she found another place, which was independent living. And then she decided that was okay. And then she fell again and fractured her pelvis again. I said, Mom, you just need to move in with us. And she fights it. She fought it like crazy. I should be living alone. I'm like, Mom, true independence is not having responsibility for anything. And even in that place, I don't like the idea of you being by yourself, because even if it's a lot of people around there, there's 200, 300 units or whatever, said you could fall in your unit and nobody knows for days.
My mom, that was what led me to bring my mom home. She was living next door to her sister up in Ivans outside of St. George. She fell and was on the ground for 14 hours before her sister found her. And I told my mom, hey, time to come on.
Yeah, well, I've got a client. Since we're sharing war stories, we sold a house, and originally the plan was to move the lady to memory care over at the Vineyard. Well, in between all that,
did she have like dementia or Alzheimer's?
yeah, she was getting there for sure. She definitely had some level of dementia, and I didn't know about how far, because I was dealing with the niece and the sister who lived across the street and down the street of the same age. And her language skills, she was Korean, so that was her first language, and she was probably in her late 80s, early 90s.
Wow.
And she was going to be moved. Well, in between the time that all this was decided, she fell in her backyard, hit her head, and bled out. And her poor sister, Kim, found her. And I mean, they were that close. And to find her sister like that, she had passed away. And it's only because somebody waited too long. And don't get me wrong, Susan, my client, the lady who I work with, who is the niece, spectacular. Her mother, Kim, who still lives down the street, we're helping her. She's going to likely be moving after the first of the year out to Tennessee where Susan lives. But the bottom line is sometimes we do need to take a stand, right? We need to take a stand with our parents, our family, or whomever, friends, and say, listen, I know you want to live here. What we need to do is we need to spend the time and the effort to make sure that it's safe. Don't let your pride get in the way. Have a person come over. I can go through, because I'm certified to do that. And then I'd have you come over and say, okay, these are the 20 things that we think need to be done. What are your thoughts? And then you can come in and say, okay, these are the things I can do right away. These are the things that might take a little bit of timing, but we can plan for it. And I explained it like, put people in the house, like these people who bought the next gen. I said, before you move in, I would tell you, these are the 10 things I think you should hire somebody to come in and do right now, before you even here. Said, you might not have grab bars, but you know what? Putting grab bars on drywall is not going to solve the problem. You need to put reinforcements behind that wall.
Actually, there's specialty toggles now that we can do that.
Oh, excellent! So even better, even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
we go in. We used to have to in showers, tile showers, marble showers, whatever. We used to have to tear open a wall and get wood backing in there to get the screws in. But over time, they've come up with even fiberglass, like the unitized fiberglass tub showers. There's a specialty piece of hardware we can drill through that 1/8-inch fiberglass and put a grab bar.
Oh, that's fantastic to know.
Which is wild, right? I mean,
yeah.
But I think, I think it's important. I think people. The other thing I run into, and I don't know if you see it, is older people who really don't have the support of their children.
Yeah, it bothers me.
And I see that way more now than I did 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Well, we
And
have changed
it's
as a
just crazy to
yeah.
me. We did a job for a widow in Sun City Anthem, and I think her son lives 10 minutes away. Never sees him. His wife doesn't like her, and I could see. I mean, I could see where she's definitely not short on opinion and
Well,
not
but
short
it's
on
still his
desire.
mom. He should,
I
even if the wife doesn't go, he should go spend time with his mom.
I agree, but I'm telling you, I see it way too much.
Yeah,
Way too much. And I think it's a shift in the culture more than
without a doubt.
anything. And so for those people, I'm just like, wow, okay. If you reach a point where you can't live safely in your home, regardless of any home adaptations, modifications that are made, then you may want to be in an assisted care or independent living space where there are other people. There are people who check on you, right? One of the things my mom was having trouble with was she had debilitating arthritis, and they had her on opioids. And my mom was not taking them properly because she would take one, be in pain, take a nap, wake up, feel pain, and think, not realize she wasn't at the window to take it again and take it again. So she was over medicating, which I think led to more falling because
Oh, sure, because you're kind of gorked out a little bit.
Medicated, exactly. And so if you're in a situation where you've got those meds or you have any kind of memory issues, you've got somebody there taking care of you that's making sure you get your meds, right? It's just whether or not you have enough money to be in a really good place.
Yeah.
Because if you wind up in a state home,
yeah, no,
not good.
And unfortunately, a lot of that just comes from people don't have the money. Medicaid is paying for stuff. But most of my clients who are doing that, we're selling a home and we're either putting the money into an investment that's going to give them income to supplement their other income, or they're just drawing down off of savings. And I understand that. And there's so many ways to fund this thing as well, as there is so many ways to fund a remodel.
Of course.
So let's talk something a little bit more fun, because I'm getting depressed in that it really bothers me. I do what I do because I'm tired of watching seniors get screwed. That's why I chose to do this. This is my mission, right? But I mean, you've got what, 5 kids?
Yeah.
5. Are any of them in the business with you?
No.
Not a one? What the hell are they thinking? Got grandkids that are getting in there ready to do it?
I mean, my grandkids are just not old enough. All my kids, like I think most kids today, they're waiting to get married. I mean, I was married at 21. I had my 3 kids at 28. Not one of my kids was married before they were in their 30s, or had kids before they were in their 30s, right?
Wow.
And I've got a daughter who's involved in ministry with Central Christian Church. Her husband's a pastor at one of their locations. I've got
here in town.
Yeah. I've got our youngest boy. He works with a production company, so all of the buildings and stuff out at EDC, for example, he's in charge of getting those built and furnished and all made up, and the lighting and the whole 9 yards. So he's our youngest. He's like 27 right now, single. Our next son, who's the second youngest, he works for Schneider Electric. So Google, Switch, or no, maybe not Google, Switch, Home Depots, all these gigantic companies, all these servers have battery backup power. The Sphere, they maintain all of that emergency power. Hospitals. So he's got a great gig. He came out of the Navy as a nuke. He was in charge of a nuclear reactor on a submarine with 16 nuclear.
Well, so you got 2 out of the 3 so far you told me about that have some measure of construction they're doing.
Not really. I mean, kind of, but that's just, they got their careers. My oldest daughter is an insurance agent. She has a book of business. It's funny because the number of calls I get, hey, I'd like to quote your insurance. I'll say, well, let me start with this. My daughter is my agent. Oh, well, hey, thanks for taking the call. Now, I'm not, And then my other daughter, she was in the corporate world for a lot of years. But her and her husband own a CrossFit gym on the west end of town. Um, so yeah, I mean, they all got their careers, and it's all good because construction isn't easy. It's not an
No.
easy business. I'm very small for a reason,
Right.
right? When I took over the company, we had like 12 employees, and I would go home when I'm running the company. I'm in my late 20s. I go home and I look at my wife and say, "Gosh, it feels like I'm running a daycare center for adult men." It was just wild.
Isn't it funny how irresponsible people can
Well,
be?
it's just crazy to me. And it just reached a point where I was like, I don't want to be right. It was. I guess it was when I checked my ego at the door. I don't want to be a big gigantic company. I don't care about that. That's not my goal. My goal is to do good work, do work that I'm proud of, keep the business going. People. Now, I did I did two kitchens for 150 grand each. Beautiful jobs.
I bet.
Went in and all the lighting is custom. Everything about it was custom. It's not the same as giving somebody like a disabled vet I did a job for. She hadn't had her own shower in 14 years. She was sponge bathed by people, nurses.
Strangers.
So she's she got the same nurse. I mean, they're like buddies, right? But she's sponge bathed 3 times a week or something. And when I gave her that shower, dude, it's life changing.
Sure it is.
Right. So
Some of us don't even realize the things that we take for granted
no, for sure,
when we're mobile like we are.
for sure. So I mean, I do a lot of different stuff, but it can still be feast or famine.
Yeah,
It still
imagine.
can be. It's like if I wanted to market my business for sale, I would need to hire more people and get salespeople, and I just don't want to deal with it. I had a guy that worked for me for 28 years. He was a signatory on every single one of my business accounts. Never had to worry if I left town. He'd take care of stuff. And when he died, I was like, what is the chance at this stage of my life I will meet somebody I wanted to put as a signature on all my bank accounts?
Yeah. Even if you met a person, you probably wouldn't want to do it.
No, when my daughter who's in ministry at Central Church, um, she took care of my books for like 10 years between her and my wife.
Oh.
When she left, I thought, the last 3 girls before her all tried to rip me off. I think I'll take over the accounting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just kind of shrunk down. So I could do a limited number of jobs a year, but I'm in control
Right.
of everything.
Well, which means also the quality is higher.
For sure.
The customer service impact that you have is higher.
100%. But I think, we go do other jobs that are super cool, super enjoyable. I get it. Costs are up for sure.
Oh yeah. That's just in general over the last 30 years,
Yeah.
And probably even the last five
for sure has been crazy.
Certainly.
But I mean, it's. I tell people, I checked my ego at the door years ago. I mean, I remember when I was in my 30s. I was in my early 30s after my daddy died. I wanted every single job I looked at. Right.
Right.
By the time I was in my early 40s, I was like, you can't be all things to all people. You just can't. Some people value what you bring and some people don't. And what I came to realize is I don't sell price. Right? I sell the fact that we've been in business for 58 years.
Yeah.
And I personally watch over everything. We're building to a standard I would be happy with in my home. I'm here to warranty stuff. I don't care how long you've been in the house, right? If I do a significant job for somebody and they call me 3 years later and say, hey, we got these cracks. I think about a job I did years ago. They call me and say, we got some cracks, and I think it might have been the blasting that they were doing out in Calico Ridge. I went and looked at it and I was like, I don't think that's the case. I think those are bad tape joints. And I tapped on them and they're kind of hollow. I said, I don't think that's plastic. We went back in and retaped all the stuff we did in their bathroom, textured it out, repainted everything. I didn't charge them.
Yeah, you got a client for life now.
Well, I just look at it and say, I mean, I extend that warranty to people, but it's like, if we do the work right to start with, I don't have any warranty.
Exactly.
It's such a small portion of my overall gross revenue that it's a blip on my
Right.
overhead. You know
Right.
what I mean? But I just look at it and say, how would I want to be treated? If I spent 80 grand with somebody, 70 grand with somebody, how do I want to be treated? Right? And then I think back to a story that goes back years ago when my wife bought me my first CD player, and
Okay.
she bought the extended warranty and annual cleaning. Right? So I'm like, I'm not into the extended warranty and the cleaning and whatever. And so we're coming up to the 2-year mark, and she's like, you haven't had a clean. You haven't had, I paid that money for that. You should get it clean. And I'm like, it's coming up for Thanksgiving Day weekend. I don't want to be without my CD player. I want to
Right.
listen to music on the holiday. And so she's like, well, if you get it in now. So I took it in to Circuit City. And so, yeah, no problem. We get it back to you by Wednesday.
Back when we had Circuit City.
Yeah, exactly. I said, cool. I go in Wednesday, start of the holiday, to get it. And they're like, we can't find it. So what do you mean you can't find it? We can't find your CD player. You'll have to wait. I said, I need to speak to the manager. He said, the department manager's out. I said, I'd like to talk to the store manager. So, mind you, I used to buy appliances for the jobs we did. The store manager comes over and he says, what's the deal? So I told him, I said, hey, they told me it was ready. Told me they didn't have it for me. I called. They said it was ready. I come down here. They don't have it. I said, we're not talking about my CD player now. What we're talking about is you assured me that I would have my CD player,
Your promise.
and you don't have it. Whether what we're talking about now is, will I ever buy another thing here? And I buy all my appliances for jobs I do here.
Yeah, look it up.
Whether or not I'm going to dog you, Circuit City, for the rest of the time I'm in business. He looked at the associate and he said, go get him a new player. And I was like, perfect. That's awesome customer service. You just made me a loyal Circuit City client.
Yep.
Right? But in the state of Nevada, you get a warranty to work for a year. And I think most contractors are like, sorry, you're out of warranty. I'm just like, dude.
Well, I think of a couple of things when I hear this, right? Because being a business coach like I am also, because I do that, I help real estate agents because I want them to be successful.
Sure.
And I keep my schedule very limited because I just want to focus on my clients. But I learned a long time ago, first off, your business is not really what you do. Your business is the value that you bring to the experience that you provide, right?
Sure.
So if you provide a great experience, you are going to have a business that people want to be around, right? But here's the other thing is there's always, I'll use a car as an example because I think it's most people universally either have cars or have driven a car. Let's say, take for instance, somebody has a BMW, and I don't. It's not too bougie for me. I have the same SUV since 2007,
Sure.
325,000 miles.
Sure.
I'm cheap. Anyways, so say you got a Beamer though, and you have a transmission problem. Now, there are plenty of places in town you can take your car and get a transmission looked at, and you're going to pay that price. But then there's guys out there who only do transmissions, and you think, okay, well,
and maybe only do European.
well, that's it, right? So now you think, okay, am I going to take it to a mechanic or am I going to take it to a specialist for transmission? Well, then, well, it's a Beamer. Do I want European or a person who only works with the Beamer? And I think to myself, yes, you could. Yes, you could. Most people would go here, especially if you have a Beamer.
Sure.
Why? Because you understand the value in working with a person
100%.
who does everything about what you want and need.
Well, when you talk about that business model, here's what I always think. Because I've asked this question to so many business people over the years, and probably 90% of the time I get the wrong answer. It always blows my mind. If you take your wife to dinner at a new restaurant and the service meets your expectation, food meets your expectation, the ambiance, environment meets your expectations, do you refer all your friends and family to go
Yep.
there? No.
Well, what happens is you only complain about restaurants that don't do
But
that.
here's my point. I go to Denny's for a lumberjack slam breakfast. I get the Denny's experience, the Denny's service, the Denny's food. I've never once said to somebody, dude, you got to go to Denny's. You're providing a business service that breaks an expectation. You're
Right.
shattering some expectation. That's why you set yourself apart, right? I try to call every single client the night of the first day of construction. Did my guys act in a professional manner? Were they communicative? Do you feel that they kept your house clean?
Yeah, did they show up on time?
And I go through this because I want to make sure that everything I told them to expect is being there. And the crazy thing is, the guys I have working right now, I've not had one complaint ever.
That's
All I
fantastic.
ever get is, I feel like they're family, but we're going to miss them. You know,
Yeah, that's great.
No, it's unbelievable.
That's what you want from your people. You want them to own the
They
work. You want them to
understand what
build
I
a
do.
relationship. Exactly.
They know how we do it. They don't know, because my guys have to be multifaceted,
Sure.
right? They got to be able
Because
to
you don't have a crew of 20.
They got to be able to pour a little bit of concrete. They got to do some framing work. They got to do drywall work. They got to match textures.
And you don't have
painting
20
work.
jobs going at once
No,
because you keep your business the size that's manageable.
exactly. And so finding guys that have that skill set, but then on top of it, have good people skills.
That's
Very
hard.
difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah. But it sounds like also they not only bought into what you do and how you do it, they bought into why you do it because they are relationship people too.
100%.
That's fantastic. Well, cool. This has been pretty awesome. Is there anything else that people need to know about any of this? I mean, you're okay with us publishing your information so people get a hold of you? Absolutely. It's I'm always doing like a senior expo, like I'm doing the Vegas Voice thing at the McDonald Ranch in a couple of weeks, and then I'm also doing the Review Journal Senior Health and Wellness Expo at the Rio. And I talk to people and I ask people about, has anybody just come and had a conversation about what you could do to stay in your place longer?
Yeah, for sure.
And I always get I'm fine. And I think I'm comfortable going over there for free and helping you.
I get it. I think you're fine until you're not fine.
And then you make decisions in haste, and it's going to cost you more. It's going to cost time.
It could. I mean, one of the things I'll tell people is pre-stroke today, you don't need me. Post-stroke tomorrow, you need me.
Yeah, but wait until then.
I'm talking to a lady right before I came here. I took a phone call from a lady. I was recommended to her by somebody we've done work for. She says, my husband has stroke. He's in rehab. I need to get an accessible bathroom. I wanted to bring him home to an accessible bathroom. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to happen. Right? When is he coming home? She's like, probably a couple of weeks. I'm like, I can't do that. Well, I've talked to some guys. They said they could do it in like 3 or 4 days. I said, be careful. Be careful. Right? They're probably talking about putting fiberglass in. She goes, well, yeah, I think so. I'm like, there's a lot of issues with fiberglass. They're not going to tell that to you, but there is, right? My showers start at floor level and go down. A fiberglass shower starts at floor level and goes up. So water that gets outside just gets out on your bathroom floor.
Just pulls up.
You got to mop it up or whatever. Again, like we talked about, but I think it's people, they don't think that they don't want to think they're going to need it. Now, I'm been a job in Sun City Anthem now. I'm in the middle of it, where these ladies are thinking about the future. Because one of the questions I'll ask people is like, how long are you going to be in your house?
Yeah.
Well, 3 or 4 years, 5 years. Well, you may not want to spend this money.
No, but if you're planning on 10 and you're 65
if this is my house,
yeah,
then invest the money, right? Because the value is another issue, right? And we get into here, but I used to read a cost versus value report, the trade publication called Remodeling Magazine.
I get that. They now send it out online.
By Hanley Wood.
Mhm.
Okay. Every year they did a cost versus value analysis where they looked at the most common jobs from high value,
Painting
mid
and all that
value.
kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I always watched that because for every $100 you invest in Los Angeles, if you sell the home within 5 years, you can maybe get 120,
Right.
or Seattle, or New York, or
Mhm.
San Francisco, but not here.
No.
So I never try to think that you're going to invest 10 grand or 50 grand and you're going to get 10 or 15 or 20% more. But I think historically anyway, the highest value return on a house in this market, because it's very similar to Phoenix, highest return on value was painting.
Yep.
Yeah, paint your house, you'll probably get 80-90% of that money back.
It depends on the purpose and the why and the how, but little things like that. So it's also pocket based too, right? So if you were in, say, 89110, and you made the changes and remodeled and everything, made it adapted there, you are not going to see nearly the return that you would see it in Sun City Anthem.
Nope.
Sun City.
100%.
Why? Because the need and the desire for that product is greater than it is over here. And so I advise people all the time when I'll go and I work for the purposes of at least my everyday business. Just needs paint and carpet and stuff like.
Sure.
I have an excellent licensed handyman I've worked with for 25 years.
Sure.
And one of the things I'll do is they don't generally want to, if they're moving, right, or have moved, they don't want to go and adapt the bathroom. They don't want to adapt the kitchen. I get that part. But what I tell them, I said, listen, there's little things you can do now. And I suggest that we go out and we spend like another $2,000 or $3,000 and get the bathroom at least with the grab bars in the right places, change out the toilet, adjust the sink if we can with levers instead of knobs. And then I said, we go around and let's put knobs and handles on all the cabinets everywhere you do it. And those are the little things you can do that make a huge difference now. And then if you're thinking I'm going to stay there longer, then you can build in some stuff. But for my clients that just want to do something to make, because they're already going to do paint, they're already going to do carpet, and a lot of things are already going to be done. I said, let's just throw a little bit in there to make it more appealing. Now over here in 89110, I'm not going to recommend those things because they're not relevant to the average purchaser. The average purchaser in 89110 is going to be a first-time FHA or VA. Person up there in Sun City Anthem, they're already got to be over 55. Chances are the average age in Sun City, I think, is probably in the 67, 68 range. So you're already heading down a path that says these would make a lot of sense. And so if you're marking it to...
you purposely moved into that community. There's a reason that you're up there, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question that that's a good move. Point I'm making is that you're not. I'm not trying to slam somebody down on a job just to get another job, right?
Right.
Because I remember when we did insurance work, I remember I'd walk up to a fire, right? And I'm looking, I'm doing a takeoff on a fire. I'm seeing their baby photos. I'm seeing their life either destroyed by fire or destroyed by smoke or destroyed by water.
Yep.
And I always thought, man, I'm going home to my house tonight. I'm sleeping in my bed. I go to my fridge and get food out of my fridge. And I always wanted to stay sensitive to that because this was a catastrophe in their life. And I never wanted to be like, well, it's just another fire. And I think you're different than, say, an average real estate person. It's another house, another sale, another whatever. Yeah. And you're trying to guide people in their own best interest, which is huge in my mind.
Right.
Because I do the same thing.
Right. That's why we connect.
Yeah. I never wanted to look at a fire as another fire. I'm like, man, dude, they're sleeping in a motel. They don't have their clothes. They've lost stuff
could not even
that you
imagine.
can't replace.
Right.
Photos of your children when they were babies, whatever the case is. Same thing when I look at it when I go into an accessible remodel.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It's a human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Well, Mark, I can't tell you enough how much I really appreciate this. I believe that the people watching and listening are going to get a great deal of value. because I think you are going to change the perspectives that people have around what they can do.
Oh, for sure.
So when they call you, the expectation is going to be, I don't feel like I'm going to be taken to the cleaners just because I call a guy. And that's why I believe that we're friends, and why when I sit down with a client, my first questions when they say they want to sell, if they're around, are like, if you could stay here, would you? That's one of the first things I ask.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Well, there's things we can do. You can stay in your house longer. And a lot of times they're like, no, absolutely not. I need to be reminded of this. Okay, great. Are you moving with your kids or whatever?
Yeah.
And then a lot of times the next question is, would it make more sense for us to rent this and give you the income every month? And I know people look at me and they go, but you don't make money from any of those things. That's irrelevant.
But Mitch, that's not the average. That's not the average sales guy. It's just not.
Well, but what's important is the senior.
I get you. 100%. I get it.
I make enough money that I can be okay not doing every deal that I got to get.
I don't. I go back to, I was in my early 40s when I looked at it and I was like, I do much better with people who bought the low bid and been screwed a time or two.
Yeah. And there's plenty of us out there, right?
I do much better with people who've been through the process, who are older. They understand you get what you pay for. They understand they're judging character. Right? Because I used to tell people, interview 20 contractors.
Yeah.
Find the ones that you think, you just get that sense, you know what? I like this guy. I think I can work with him. Then vet him.
Yeah. And that's important.
For sure it's important. Vet them to make sure they're not just a good salesperson, right? Make sure they don't have complaints, they don't have issues. The things they tell you are valid. Nobody's going to give you references of anybody that was unhappy with what you did.
Of course not.
Of course not. So vet them. Because here's what I'll tell you. When I know I'm doing the job for the people, I put in way more time to get them the highest value for their money.
Yep.
If I think I got a 1 in 5 shot, I'm not even going out to bid.
Right. Why would you?
I don't need it.
No.
I don't need that.
And that's stress and aggravation, time away from your family and your wife and the whole bit, you know.
I get people call me from Yelp. They're like, "Are your estimates free?" I'm like, "No, they cost me money."
Yep.
Like, it's my time.
Why would you want that?
Because some people, they're trained to look for the lowest bid and get a whole bunch of estimates. And the problem is, if you go that route, what you're going to wind up with is something that's probably not going to be good. I
Right.
have a good turnout.
Well, the person who goes to the first guy to fix the transmission because he's cheap
100%.
and is back again 6 months later, instead of going to the guy who repairs the transmission for the import.
Look, it's the same thing with real estate. If somebody comes in and says, "Oh, I'll do it for this much percent," and they're brand new or whatever, the house doesn't sell.
Right.
It doesn't. They don't get service. They don't get any response.
Or they make mistakes.
100%. Right. You go with somebody who knows what they're doing. Right.
Yeah.
And when you go in and say to somebody, maybe you should rent your house, to me that speaks volumes about your character. Because I don't walk into people's homes trying to gin up the job. I mean, in my industry, Mitch, guys that roll up to, and it's not everybody. I don't want to disparage the industry, but it's not uncommon.
There's a fear. I mean, both of our industries have reputations.
For sure. They roll up to a gated community and their price goes up.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong. It's the same thing. I don't bounce my numbers up so that I can look at somebody and say, "Oh, you're a senior. I'll give you a 10% discount."
Right.
When I've built it into the price. Because that to me is deceptive.
It totally is.
Right? If I'm looking for a 10% net, I can't knock 10% off if I don't build it in.
Right.
And my daughter, who's a marketer, is like, "Dad, some people just want to feel like they're getting a discount." I'm like, I can't do it.
But those are not your clients.
No.
Your clients are the people who want true value. It's the same with me. People want true value. They want what I offer. It's not what I do. It's the experience I provide. It's the same thing for you. Well, 100%. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I appreciate our friendship. And I'm continuing to look to work together. I've got to find more business for you.
Okay.
Thank you for being here on today's Living Well and Aging Smart podcast. It's never too late to transition in your life and take the next step in aging through clarity through confidence, and certainly with a great community that cares about you. If today's episode resonated at all with you and you got questions, feel free to call me up directly. I'm on my cell phone, 702-303-0040. You can reach out to me personally. Go to my website, seniorassistanceteam.com. You could also, if you want, click the link in the description and say, hey, I'd like to schedule a free 15-minute phone call with you, just to chat, to ask whatever question you got. That's why I'm here. Feel free to reach out. But if you got something out of this, or you think somebody else would, subscribe to this, leave a comment or a question, share it with a friend. Those are things that would be very helpful. Thank you again so much for being here. Until then, all I'm asking you to do is stay safe, stay smart, live well, and age smart. I hope to talk to you real soon and look forward to seeing you in the next podcast.